One of the things that I do think is helpful with syllabi is it does give you a sense of the pace of the class. How often will there be assignments? How often are they going to be due? What's the workload week to week going to feel like? So it's not about the difficulty or the ease, but rather the amount of labor that's going to be kind of involved and when those exams are coming in. And I think it's important when you're going and you're sort of developing a course load at the beginning of a semester to try and make sure you have syllabi that are that relate to each other, that correspond in good ways. Like, you don't want 3 classes that all have exams and assignments due constantly the same time throughout a semester. That's not going to be good, because then you're just going to be emailing someone saying, can I get an extension, can I get an extension? And not all professors sort of do that. So I think it's not always helpful to try and figure out whether a class is easy or hard, but rather what the rhythm of the class is. I always recommend to students to take classes not in terms of the subject matter or the syllabus, but rather the professor. Because a great professor can teach anything and make it good. A really excellent class could just be tanked if the professor just doesn't want to be there, or whatever it is. I think students will look at a syllabus and think this will determine whether, like, what the feel of the class or the vibe of the class is, and that's really not going to do it. That's all you're going to get a sense is, like, week to week. Like, you know, it's going to be busy at the beginning and then kind of like an interlude where it's not busy and then suddenly busy at the end, and then you want to match that with a class that's not quite as busy on the ends but busy in the middle, so it just balances out. But in terms of the vibe of the class, that's really what the professor is going to bring to the table. And I think that's really important, is looking for classes, not just in terms of fulfilling requirements, because you definitely have to do that, but also what's the professor like. One of the things that I always say to students who are planning out their undergraduate careers for the sake of, you know, going on the job market and trying to get work, is the thing that employers ultimately always look for is excellence. And excellence is not defined by overreach. Excellence is defined by you're able to do a particular task in a very excellent way. And another variation of this is oftentimes students will come in erroneously thinking that they have to major in certain things in order to become competitive for a job. Like, they want to go, let's say they want to go into consulting, so they feel like they have to do econ or whatever it is they feel like they have to do. Now, that's completely untrue. Empirically speaking, there's very little data to suggest that what you major in and the jobs that you get after college have a correspondence. Because the fact is, certain jobs require professional degrees anyway, right? So barring that, if you're only finishing with a BS or a BA, people think that they have to, you know, you have to do econ in order to work in consulting. But I can tell you for a fact, I know headhunters at major consulting companies who will camp out at the career centers of major universities, and they are not looking for econ majors. They are looking for whoever excelled in whatever they did. Excellence often requires you to focus. And so I think finding the things not only that you like, but that you're good at, and those usually go together, rather than feeling compelled to do things because your peers have told you so or family members told you so. It's empirically doesn't even hold. So spreading yourself too thin, again, if it's because you desperately love all these things you're doing, great. But if it's out of a sense of obligation, you're not doing yourself any favors. And the best thing to do is just focus on what you enjoy, really enjoy, and what you like. And this includes not only activities, but your majors and minors.